Welcome to the Paper Snob. This is Tara. Today I am working on 30 Days of Sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life, series number 16. We are on day number 15, ladies. We are halfway through the month, and this sketch was created by Helen Dean. She created an amazing sketch with a ton of small photos. Now again, I am trying to do the photos that I have already printed out. So she has a large square focal photo on the lower left hand side of her sketch. This is my focal photo. I might try to see if I can't trim this down to a square. We'll see about that. But let's talk about what I'm using. I am using a brand new collection from 49 Market. At least it's brand new to me. I picked it up at We Create in September, and I have not opened any of it yet. This is Summer Porch, and I chose it because it goes very well with these photos. This is Jasper when he was a kitten and when we thought he was a she. Now, Jasper's original name was Phoebe, and so I'm not sure what I'm going to title this layout just yet, but obviously Jasper was not a she. And so I took all of these photos using a pair of my red patent shoes and my pearls, but then I also brought in some photos of my husband's combat boots because they were cute. And so I had a really good time playing with him. As you can see, he wasn't a real fan of sitting still. So a lot of these photos are blurry except for a couple. And of course, this is a really adorable photo. So I'm going to pause. We're going to get started and I will be right back. So these are the leftover die cuts that I cut for, I believe it was day 10. And I saved them because they're perfectly fine, and this is such a beautiful die from Tim Holtz. It has two other sizes of borders, but since I'd already cut these, I'm going to go ahead and use these. I am inking them up with some, I think it's, I can't even see, walnut stain distress oxide. I love how this makes it look a little more vintage and a little bit more grungy. And anyway, inking is fun and I really enjoy doing it. I really need to take the time to do a bit more of it. I don't know if you saw, but I store a little round pad under each ink pad for each color, so that way I never have to worry about different colors bleeding onto it. Next stop, I am going to go ahead and cut down this paper. Okay, so I take the branding strip off and I set it aside, and the first thing I do is I just cut it in half so that I have two pieces of 6 by 12. The next step, of course, is to cut the red one down as well. I am keeping my branding strips. I love the 49 Market branding strips, probably the most out of all of the ones that I do keep. No, I don't keep every branding strip, especially ones that I know that I will never go back and use. So the next step is I'm taking an inch off one side and an inch off the other side so that I have more like a 5 by 11 piece of paper with the blue. And this is just so that I end up with a full border of the background paper all the way around my pattern paper. I'm going to cut an inch off one end of both of the red pieces, and then I'm going to go ahead and get this background glued together. I realize that I'm off camera just a tad bit on that right side. I will fix that as we go, but first up I'm going to just eyeball centering the red piece in the middle so that it meets up. I'm going to put glue on all 4 pieces of paper. Isn't this paper gorgeous? It's really hard to cut into paper that has 2 sides that are so beautiful. But I bought 2 packs of the paper. It was an accident, I promise. I didn't think that I had pre-ordered this collection when I had, and when I got to We Create in September, when I looked at it in person, I'm like, oh, well, I didn't order this, so I'm going to go ahead and get the full collection. And so I did, brought it back to my table, And then they brought one of my bags of pre-orders and I had this collection in it. Go figure. So I don't know if you really paid attention to the sketch or not, but she has 2 square blocks on the lower, one on the lower left hand side and the other one is on the upper right hand side. I am going to be using the pattern paper for those blocks, and then I'm going to kind of box them in with my photos. I really want to use these acetate frames because I have 2 packs of them, so I really need to do that. I pulled out the laser cut frames as well, but I ended up putting those back. I don't think I have 2 packs of those, but I have 2 packs of the paper, both the solids and the pretty papers, and then I have 2 packs of the laser die cuts as well. So I have plenty of this to go around, so it's not as hard for me to dig into it as it normally is. I'm going to cut down my photos just a tad bit more. Now again, these photos were taken in my home. I dabbled with photography for quite a long time. Took my camera out this weekend and discovered I'm terribly out of practice. We're gonna have to fix that because I mean I have this huge Nikon camera, bunch of lenses and stuff, and I'm out of practice using it. Shame on me. Especially where we live now, we've got so much beautiful scenery in the mountains and stuff to photograph, so I need to take it out with me more often. Anyway, so I'm just trimming down these photos just a little bit so that I can get as many of them on there as I possibly can. I don't end up using all of the ones that I printed because I didn't trim these down as small as they could be. I know that you're probably wondering, what on earth are you doing? This looks nothing like the sketch. I promise I'll explain at the end of the video what I did differently, where my thought process was, and all of that. So now I'm just kind of playing along with these photos. I've got my large focal photo is on the bottom right side of the left hand page of the 2-page layout. And I've trimmed down the photo that is just of my shoes and put that frame on top of that. And now I'm just kind of messing around a little bit with these photos, trying to see if I can get one more on there than what I have. I am going to trim down my focal photo just a little bit so that it fits better on that red piece. I'm not going to matte any of my photos, but I am going to scuff up the edges with my distress tool just a little bit. So I kind of like how I've got the right hand side going. I'm still playing with this left hand side because I want to use that frame and it's just not working. I mean, it looks cute with the edges peeking out, and that is very doable, but that's not really the look that I was going for. So I'll move that frame around again here in a bit as I pull out other die cuts and decide what it is I'm putting on here. It is not hard to decorate this page, but I'm trying to leave those pre-printed embellishment clusters visible. I don't want to cover them up at all. So here is where I start scuffing up my photos a little bit, and I've gone through the embellishment packs and I have made some decisions on things to pull and to try to use. I pulled in my scallop borders because I almost forgot about them, so I want to make sure that I actually use them. And again, this is probably one of my favorite border die cuts. It is just absolutely stunning. It is a very detailed die, and if you are a Sizzix user and you do not have the stainless steel cutting pad, you should get one because it makes cutting these finicky, very detailed dies an absolute breeze. I thought, you know, when I bought it, I was like, man, this isn't really gonna work. Trust me, it really does work, and it's actually amazing how well it works. Now, a friend of mine recently came across a video where somebody was using like a bubble mailer to do the same thing. I have not tried that, but if you don't want to purchase the stainless steel mat for your Sizzix, then try the bubble wrap or the bubble mailer and see if it will work out for you. And I think you should let me know if it truly does work. 'Cause like I said, I have not tried that yet. I'm just laying those die cut borders over there on the left side. Nothing is glued down just yet. I'm gonna finish cutting out these labels. This one label that I'm cutting out is from the packaging that came with, I think, the acetate frames. But it's just a tiny little gray label. And then I pulled a red label and another gray label out of the pack that has a ton of different sized layouts. So here's what I'm going to do with that acetate frame that I was trying to use. I'm going to let it kind of mat my focal photo down on 3 sides. Of course, I'd have to trim the photo down a little bit more, and I don't want to cut off any of the kitten, and I don't want to cut off any more of the shoe, so I'm just going to leave that. I have my title. It says favorite snapshots. I adored playing with my camera this day and Jasper. Again, Jasper, at this point in time, we had been told that he was a girl. And I don't know, 3 or 4 days into having him, I kept telling my husband, I don't think this is a female kitten. I think it's a boy. But we were calling, her Phoebe. And I just started calling him BB because I was like, I don't want to call him a girl's name. He I just don't think it's a girl. And when we finally got him to the vet, she was like, yeah, bad news, not a female. And I'm like, that's perfectly fine. And so I initially changed his name to Jinx, which is an adorable name, but it just didn't seem to fit. And then we moved along to Jasper. And it is so funny. The first time that I used the name Jasper, I called for him and he came running like, finally, you got my name right, human. It was so stinking cute that he did that. Now I'm going to scuff up this frame just a tad. I'm bringing in the distress tool that I bought from some Assemblage Required. She has those in her shop. It works amazingly, and I need to make sure that it is in front of me so that I can reach for it more, because I think it does a better job scuffing up stuff than the Tim Holtz one. The Tim Holtz one I like to use for smaller things especially, so I won't be getting rid of it. But this larger one is really great for doing big scuffing jobs like full pieces of paper, etc. So I think I'm happy with photo placement at this point. And now I'm just going to start playing with the embellishments that I pulled. I have my main title on the left-hand side, and then I pulled out the word delight from the Chipboard Words pack, and I'm going to use that as a subtitle along the right-hand side. I also have the word you on it, and it is going to go on one of the photos as well. So I'm just kind of pulling. Can't really tell what I'm doing here. I'm messing with the die cuts to make sure I get that scalloped border along that bottom. So it is going to be tucked up underneath the pattern paper. I decided not to lay it on top, so I'm going to just lift it a little bit and tuck it up underneath. And I'm going to use 2 for this one as well. And so I think so far I like how that looks. Let's get the second die cut underneath there. I'm kind of picking out some of the little, what do you call them, little bits, the leftover bits in the detailed part, just kind of picking them out a little bit so that they're all there. It is hanging off the edge of the paper right now. I will trim that once I get everything glued down, and then you won't see it at all. My journaling is going to end up here. Again, she had this beautifully large square area on her sketch for journaling, and that is an amazing thing. I think I may go back and try to redo her sketch at some point and utilize those opposing squares on it a little bit differently than I have here. But for now, like I said, I'm trying to use photos that I have pre-printed without printing a whole lot more, and trying to finish up some of the 2-page layouts that I have in my 2016 albums. So I've got a couple of floral bits, and I'm just layering them around on that right-hand side, tucking things And I've got a leafy bit on the left-hand side, and I'm pretty happy with the way that it looks. All right, I got this layout done. I want to talk about what I really did differently. In Helen's sketch, she had a square here and a square here. She had journaling here, and of course I put my journaling on little labels. I left plenty of room to add the month here because I need to check to see which month, whether this was May or June of 2016. Here and here, for the big squares, I let the 49 Market paper fill in that space, and then I just added some photos around it. I didn't have a bunch of tiny photos pre-printed like this, so I thought I could just kind of fill them in. Another way that you could do this is if you look at her sketch, this here, these 4 photos would be a 4x6. This could be a 4x6, and this could be a 4x6. This could be a 4x6. This could be a 4x6, and this could be a 4x6 if you don't have photos that size. My guess is these are about 2x3. She has measurements on the sketch, but as you can see, the way I printed it is really tiny. She also had a bunch of journaling here, and I moved everything around and added a subtitle here. My title is not going this direction, it is this direction, but I did add the scalloped borders down here with my die cuts that I had cut out. Goodness, words are hard. I kind of kept most of the embellishments relatively simple. I added a leafy bit here. I tucked a frame underneath here. I added a word here and a flag here with some butterfly and some flowers here, and some more words. And that is about it. This is a beautiful collection. Of course it is. It's 49 Market. How could it be anything but beautiful? I'm really thrilled with the way that this turned out. I want to thank you for coming to my channel today. I really appreciate those of you who take the time to like, comment, and or subscribe to my channel. You guys have helped make my channel successful, and I'm very grateful to you. Also, make sure that you check out that playlist below that is listed in my description box for the month of October. There are so many wonderful creators that are adding content to this playlist, and I know that you will be truly inspired by these 2-page sketches. There are also a few ladies who are only doing 1-page layouts with the 2-page sketches, and that's kind of fun to watch as well. You can see how they either just use one side or the other, or in some instances they are like squishing it down into a 1-page layout. That is also a great way to take a sketch and use it for the things that you already have. Again, thank you for being here, and I hope you have a great week. Bye.